As a tech recruiter, I support hundreds of people to prepare for job interviews. And the market that I support companies in is the deep tech market, which is extremely hard to hire. Usually, people only match between 60–70% of the job description. So, people's ability to interview properly is really crucial. What surprises me the most is on how little time people spend preparing for job interviews. So in today's video, I want to share some framework and how I personally will prepare for job interviews. This is what I share with the engineers that I support, and it seems to work very well for them. So I hope this is helpful to you. The first thing that I wrote down is understand the game you're playing. I think a lot of people, when they get into job interviews, they treat it as a Q&A. And in my opinion, this is a mistake. You're not going in there to, answer questions. You're going in there to find out whether or not this company is a good match for you and you're a good match for them. And your answers should not be perfect. Your answers should be giving the assurance to people that you're worth taking a risk. I will talk here mostly about startups, but I think this applies to any company really, is that there is not such a thing as a perfect interview process, and there's not such a thing as a perfect hire. Like people look at you as a risk, and when a hiring manager looks at you, they will try to find every reason possible not to hire you. People don't get into an interview saying, we want to hire this person. No, they're like, let's find out the reason not to hire that person. So your job is really to make people feel safe about taking the risk on you, right? So that's first thing I would say. It's just a shift on mindset and trying to shape the interview into a conversation more than a Q&A is one way you will win and stand out of the crowd. So that's something I wanted to share. Another thing that I wrote down is research the company like a consultant. Like most people do very little research. And if you want to stand out of the crowd, it's so simple because most people will spend a couple of minutes on the homepage of the company, and that's really it. Now, with ChatGPT now and there's like this option like called deep research, you can scrape the web and find everything you want about the company. So make sure to spend a bit of time, playing around with that. Check maybe if they have a YouTube channel as well. I know for a fact that some of my clients have YouTube channels. Nobody ever watches it, but if you can show up in an interview and say, hey, I've seen your product, this live demo or whatever, you're standing out of the crowd, right? And you really shout interest. So do your research really deeply. Another way I will do my research is spending a bit of time on LinkedIn and really try to, study and observe what the engineers in that company are doing. Like check what your potential future colleagues are doing. Like what are they talking about? Try to comment on their post maybe even, right? So doing some research through LinkedIn is also something that most people don't do. Another thing that I will do, and I always recommend people, is spend a bit of time on Glassdoor, Reddit, like chase, those red flags and very bad comments and try to ask questions towards them. Like you having the ability to go into an interview and say, hey, while I was doing my research, I came across this and this, pretty poor reviews of your company. I was wondering, like, is this still going on? Like, what happened? Did you guys solve that issue? Like, I'm gonna tell you, if you're able to do that, you're standing out from the crowd again, and you're really showing that you're looking for your next home. You're not just looking for a job right away. You're looking for a place that you can feel safe. And now you're kind of positioning yourself into this relationship where we're trying to find common ground. So it also shows that you're not afraid to ask hard questions. Like this is public information, what's on Glassdoor and stuff. And look, if they don't want to answer or they feel offended, maybe you should not go there anyway. So yeah, just research the red flags and ask questions about them. Be respectful, but yeah, this is something that most people don't do. Make sure to also have a deep understanding of, the macro of the company, like the industry they play in, the competitors, like really understand the company, not just from a micro perspective, but like on a macro perspective. And the other thing that I will do in the preparation phase is writing down three things. I'll write down what excites me about this company, like why do I want to work there? This question always comes up. Why do you apply for us? And most people are somehow unprepared for this. So make sure to have this written down. Try to connect it with your passion and your background. Um, Another thing will be, what problems are they likely trying to solve now? Like, try to guess what companies are trying to solve, and maybe try to even confirm it with some people on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I'm interviewing with you guys next week. From my perspective and understanding, this is what you guys are currently trying to solve. If you're spot on, that leads into a pretty good conversation. So that's another thing that I will do. And another thing is, how can I contribute and be a valuable asset to this company? Write it down. The more the better. Try to be as ready as possible. Another thing that I wrote down is, prepare like a salesperson and not a student. And what I mean by that is, you just need to sell your story, right? I've said it before, but there's this typical question that you always get, which is, please tell us a little bit more about yourself. And this should be your elevator pitch. Like, what makes you interesting to them? And people tend to really suck at this question because they go way too wide. They want to share so many aspects of them. And all they should really care about is, with that 30 to 45-second introduction, it should not be longer, the interviewers should feel, of course, this person is interviewing with us. Their background makes every sense to it. And people really are terrible at this. So you want to really share information about you that the interviewer can connect the dots and say, of course, that's why this person is interested in what we do. So, have really your, I guess, elevator pitch and your introduction as strategically made as possible. Another thing that I wrote down is, own your weaknesses. And people are really, really bad at this question where it's like, what are some of your weaknesses? And they tend to be unprepared on it. My point here that I'm trying to make is that, for example, if you're lacking certain skills that are required for the job and in the job description, you should already have a game plan on how you're going to kind of close the gap. You should be able to show proactively that, hey, I don't have work experience with this framework, but a couple of days before the interview, I actually did this little project and I used the framework. So I have a good grasp on things right now. And by the time I will join you guys, it should not be a problem. Like, generally speaking, you kind of showing awareness on what you're lacking is really what startups are looking for. So that's what I mean with owning your weaknesses. And then, try to really go through hard questions like, why will they hire me? What makes me better than someone with a few more years of experience, for example? Like, how can I beat that person? Try to think deeply about those things. And that's becoming your sales pitch basically for the whole interview, right? When it comes to technical jobs, I also recommend always people to brush up some core theory, like computer science fundamentals. Like, a lot of times people who have many years of experience, they forget the fundamentals. And look, interview processes are not perfect. They're actually pretty inefficient often, and sometimes the questions that you will get, you literally won't be better at them if you just graduated. So try to kind of brush up some core principles and very basic theory. It will help you. And worst case, if you don't know, just show them that you know exactly how to find the answer, so to speak. And yeah. Then other questions that you need to be really good at and have some stories ready for are, how do you deal with stress? Like, can you give us a moment in your career that you were facing a big amount of stress, and how did you come out of it? Like, having those ready and I recommend people to really practice it, say it out loud, do some role playing, even record yourself. Like nowadays, a lot of interviews are done, online, and the way you appear on screen is not the way things will be in a room, right? So you really want to make sure you sound as sincere as possible. Like people are good at smelling bullshit, man. They really are. So make sure to be ready and have those answers as polished as possible. Another thing that I also highly recommend is, have proof of work, like prove that, like, man, like the amount of engineers that don't have like a GitHub account, or they don't have like open repos and stuff. And it's just, like, it's bad. Like you need stuff to showcase. You need to be able to show some code and some project that you worked on in your free time. Because the people that will usually get the job. Like it's just what it is. People want to see passion, and I can guarantee you some engineers out there might have less experience than you, but if they have like this, like massive GitHub with what's called like all the green repo, like all the stuff, really showcasing their like, working every day on some projects, they'll probably get the job because companies want that. Companies want people who always are trying to improve and learn new things, right? So yeah, try to have that ready. The last thing I want to talk about is, at the end of the interview, you get a chance to ask your questions. And this is the moment where you have a chance to close the deal proactively. And again, most people don't do this. So, what I want to share here shall make a big difference, in my opinion. So, this is me being a salesperson, and here's how I will handle a job interview at the end. I will ask questions that forces the hiring manager to either tell me in my face that I'm not a good match, or forces the hiring manager to envision me joining a team and starts already providing me advice for the next steps. So I give you an example. At the end of the interview, I would always ask, like, what would it look like for me to be successful in this role in 6 months? What would I have to do? Okay. I will not ask, what does a perfect candidate look like? No, I will ask, how could I be a superstar in your team and have the biggest impact? Okay. Let's assume that I can join this company and start the role in 2 months. Which skills do I need to pick up? And how can I showcase you and make you feel secure that I picked up those skills? Another question that I will ask is, based on everything you know about me right now, what are your biggest concerns when it comes to me matching the job? And this is how I will basically close the gap more and more between me and the unknown of me matching the job, basically, right? Yeah, I wanted to record this video in the hope that it helps some people out there to prepare better for the job interviews. If you enjoy that kind of content, please make sure to let me know. And if this helped you to land a job, please reach out to me on LinkedIn, let me know as well. If you feel like I'm missing something, feel free to share it as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.